Neil Gaiman happens to be one of the most celebrated and successful novelists of our time. In fact, he has won both the Newbery and the Carnegie Medal for the same work. Now, this is his story about and his struggles with what is called as imposter syndrome. For the longest time, Neil would get invited to numerous soirees and evenings with a lot of interesting people, and every time he got an invite, his heart would sink a bit. During one of those events, he turned up there, looked at this plethora of speakers and the people who were attending the event, and he asked himself what he was doing there. So he quickly reached out to a gentleman who was standing next to him and introduced himself. And that gentleman also incidentally shared the same first name as his. And in conversation, the other gentleman was saying, "You know what? I don't know what I'm doing here. All these wonderful people are there. I just went where they asked me to go." That gentleman was Neil Armstrong. When do we start believing our own stories? It's a very critical point, and that juncture which separates what we were to what we can become. But is that the complete story? Not quite. Here's another one heading your way. Dick Bass was a Texan, big guy, extremely wealthy. He ran a ski camp, and he had a lot of other distinctions about him. So he was one of the first people in the world, actually he was the first guy in the world to climb all the 7 peaks in the 7 different continents. And he was the oldest member to have ever summited Mount Everest. He did this at the age of 55, no doubt an extremely interesting guy. So on one long haul flight, he was sitting next to this rather affable, nice gentleman, and he started regaling him with stories about how we survived Mount Kinley and how we climbed Mount Everest and so on. And before he realized the flight had landed, and Dick had realized that he didn't even know his co-passenger's name, and he says, "Hi, I'm Dick Bass." He says, "Yes, I know who I am. I know who you are. I'm Neil Armstrong." So another point there for my favorite moon lander. Just as it's important for us to be cognizant and come into our own stories, it's equally important to be gracious and shine the spotlight on someone else and learn more about them through their stories.